What's up, everyone? This is Neon Dream Games, and I'm back again this week with another devlog for you on my work in progress game, Fruits vs. Veggies. I am here this week to talk about Fruits vs. Veggies. Last time I showed you the first peek at it, and I'll have some more footage this week for you as well, but it's not going to be a whole lot different from what I showed you last time. I've added a few things, but a lot of what I've been working on is probably, I guess you would say, bug/glitch fixes. So let's just go over some of that. So one of the glitches I had was the onions. They would, I guess you would say, they would freeze under certain circumstances. I fixed it, so that's the good part, but for the longest time I could not figure out what that was. I was running different things. I was putting my code into ChatGPT to see if it could analyze my code and see what might the problem be, and it did actually give me a recommendation that I should create a reset attack state. It seemed it thought I was glitching somewhere in the attack process, and basically it was. So I guess let's backtrack. Last time I said I was going to maybe try to do a state machine, and I took a brief pause to attempt that. I did actually try to start it, and once I implemented everything, nothing worked. And I was like, do I want to go through the process of troubleshooting this after I had just kind of gotten most of the little bugs and kinks worked out between at least 2 units, the eggplant and the onion? So I kind of scrapped the state machine and just stuck with my Boolean variables. Yeah, I mean, there's probably definitely ways I can make my game more efficient, but I'm just trying to plug along and do the best I can. So back to that, I have all these kind of Boolean variables, that if then statements, if this is true, this happens, and etc., etc. Well, I found out basically that I wasn't resetting a couple of them in a couple spots, and that was causing glitches and freezes. So double check all those Booleans and the if then statements, make sure you got them in line. Took me a while to figure it out, but I did get it done. So one of the new things you're going to see pretty immediately on some of this footage is the button. I wanted to get the button in place for you to select an eggplant unit or any unit in the future, and to be able to, click the button, place the eggplant, and I wanted the ability to click the button and cancel whatever unit you're grabbing, as well as if you made a mistake or you want to change your mind. So in my game, I think I'm going to go with rather than like getting money and stuff to earn enough to build a new unit, each unit will be free, but they'll all be on a timer. So you have to wait for that progress bar to fill up before you can place another unit. So I was trying to get that in place as well. So this button became a big pain in my butt. At first, I thought it was going to be easy. And one of the first problems I started to run into was I was trying to figure out the control nodes and stuff, and I wanted to kind of get it ready and set up for the future. So I wanted to have it in an HBox container, because in the future, I think what I might do in the end is before a level starts, you get to pick maybe 3 to 5 fruits that you want to bring into the level. I mean, to begin with, you only get certain ones. Maybe I'll go over that later with some of my future thoughts. But so anyways, I wanted the HBox container so that when you drop a button in, you can hide and make different ones invisible, and it just keeps them all to one side of the screen, depending on which ones you put in. Anyways, it's organizational. I just wanted to get that set up, but I was having so many problems getting alignments and things to work within the HBox to have the button go where I wanted it to. That took me a long time, and I still, to this day, I don't even exactly know how I got it to work, but I did get it to work eventually, so I was happy with that. It was working. I could click on it. There's like a little ghost image of the eggplant after you click it, to kind of indicate like you've selected it, and you can move it around the grid and decide where you want to place it. But what happens when you place it? When you place the eggplant, I want the button to disable, and I want a progress bar to trigger that fills up And once the progress bar fills up, the button becomes active again and you can select the unit. Well, I could not get that to work. I couldn't get it to work for the life of me. I went over my code and over and over and over. I put it into ChatGPT. I was trying to figure out like what's wrong with my code. I changed so many things. I went down to the most basic bare bones thing that I could. And I'm serious, I must have spent 4 to 6 hours just racking my brain one day trying to figure out how to get this progress bar to work. Like the code all looked correct. Even ChatGPT was like, your code looks correct. And this is sort of where ChatGPT can, be good and both fail for you in trying to help debug or problem solve, because ultimately what happened was in my process function that just runs constantly, I have some Boolean variables that trigger through these if-then statements and stuff happens. Well, within one of those if-then statements, I put if this set of variables is true or whatever, something happens. And then I did an else, and the else, I had a return. In my mind, that return, I thought just sort of meant that it just, exits that if-then statement and continues on. But it seemed that it didn't. It seems like if it hit the parameters to return, it started the process over and just kept in a loop there and would never get to my code for the progress bar to update. So again, I racked my brain for anywhere between 4 to 6 hours on a Friday, and I got frustrated. I had to end the day on just like not solving the problem. I couldn't figure it out. So this is sort of a testament to other stuff that I've talked about in other videos, but I had to take a step away. I had to take a step back, and I didn't work on it the whole weekend. We had other plans. We went and did stuff. I came back Monday morning and I knew I wanted to get right back into the code, but I had no idea where I was going to begin. Especially if you've taken a couple of days off, like I had to like mentally get back into that mindset of like, where was I even? Like, how do I even start solving this problem again? And I looked at my code and I realized like I commented out all this stuff. I had this bare bones code. I tried it again. I started it up, and I kid you not, within 15 minutes, I found that problem. I just had to delete that return line. Everything worked. It just, boom, immediately, everything worked. And it's just like, you have that moment of like great relief that it worked, but also that like, how could I have not seen this? I spent so many hours trying to fix this one little problem, and it was so simple. So anyways, I uncommented everything, got my code back to where it was, and the button was done. The button worked, everything is great. So the button is set up for the future. I can easily replicate that button with any other unit now. So I'm happy about that. As soon as I start making other units, we're good to go. Another thing that I had to work on in regards to the fruits or the eggplants or whatever was the grid system. If I placed a unit on the grid, it marked that cell in the grid as occupied, so that you can't just keep placing another unit into that same cell. But if that unit dies, that cell needs to become unoccupied. So I had to figure out how to do that. Didn't take me too long. So I ended up creating a global script. The name escapes me right now on what you call that in Godot, but it's a global script so that it runs everywhere. I really struggle with signals in Godot on how to use and implement them, especially when given that sort of the parent-child situation. And then if you want a signal to trigger in this node, but you want to pick it up in a whole completely different node or whatever. So I love to put my signals into a global script, because then I can just hit the signal and pick it up anywhere, just using that global variable or global signal in this case. And I created, I think, a signal that fired that said, to trigger this once the eggplant dies, or in the future any fruit dies, the cell becomes unoccupied and ready to have another unit placed there. So that was pretty quick. I implemented that. I'm pretty sure, as I said, I'm not being as efficient as I probably could be. I try to think ahead. I try to think, how can I make things simpler and simplify? I just don't always know. And I'm hoping in time I will slowly pick up on those things with each new game I make and get better and better at it. But so what I'm doing right now is I was trying to think ahead to reduce the amount of code I was writing. I probably should somehow have a singular script that I can put into each unit eventually as I make them that controls units or whatever. But so far, each unit that I make is going to have its own unique script. I can copy and paste most of that in there, but I'll have to make a few tweaks for each unit based on sort of each unit's quirks or how they handle or whatever. But there are certain things I'm tracking and trying to keep track of, and I've created arrays and dictionaries for a few things. And so far they only have like the eggplant in it, but I can easily add new units, and hopefully I'll just have these like for loops that will kind of run through that to check for different unit types and things. So that's just sort of like a future thinking, and we'll see how that implements. So yeah, so that leads me on to, I'm talking about units, and I really want to start making more units because I think once I've established kind of having one unit and it functions and works properly, I think I'm just going to be able to just update sprites and animations and, you know, plop new units into the game pretty quickly. I think we'll see. You know, you never know in programming. But before I got to that point, I was like, you know, I should probably finish trying to make this look and act more like a game. I mean, yes, we have 2 units and they can fight. You know, I've added their health and all that. They can kill each other, and all that works so far. But I don't have like the objective of the game in place, so this is going to be a little bit different from like a Plants vs. Zombies. It's more of a battle in my game. So you'll see the health bar. There's actually going to be like a tug of war health bar, where basically if you kill a unit, you'll get a little bit of, you know, like a tug of war or whatever. It's like you're pulling the enemy over, or in this case, you're trying to get your points. It's not even really a health bar. It's more of like a point bar type thing or whatever, gauge. And you want to fill yours, which is the red side for fruit. You want to have your red gauge fill the entire thing. If you fill it completely, you just win the battle. In the end, I'll probably have each level be timed, so it can't just go on forever, and then when the timer ends, whoever's winning wins. But I wanted to get that sort of set into place before I moved on to making units, because the units are part of it. I have to put the code into the units to like damage the health bar or whatever, or move that, you know, line back and forth. So if you kill a unit, that'll move it a little bit. If you get an actual unit to the other side, so you're also going to have units that you can send out and walk across the battlefield, just like the onions that you see in the footage. They walk across the battlefield. But if you get a unit to the actual other side successfully, that's going to hit big damage. And I just wanted to get all that in place before I started creating other units. So that's kind of where I actually am right now in the game. I'm working on that bar. I was hoping to have that finished before I made this video, but I'm not quite there. I'm close. There's like a little fruit and veggie guy on it that I thought would be kind of a fun, just, you know, standing there idle while the game goes on. But every time if you take damage or the enemy takes damage, they have like a hurt animation. So just a little visual indicator for fun, just to kind of show. And it actually, if you lose completely, they'll die or whatever, their death animation. Yeah, I just thought that was a fun little visual thing that I could add to it. And this video is already getting a little bit long, but just to kind of give you an idea of where I'm headed and stuff, I think in my last video I said I was going to try to set up a store page for the game. I really want to get that up and running, and I did just submit to create like a developer account for Steamworks. I'm waiting for that approval process and all that, so that's not ready yet on this devlog. So I'm hoping by the next one I can have you guys go to the store page and wish list it if you'd like to, but I'm in the process of doing that. All the boring legal stuff that you have to do, filling out tax documents and other stuff. So anyways, I'm just getting in the process of setting that up. So that leads me into sort of like future stuff for the game. Like I said, I want to get more units done. I'm I've been talking about scope. My scope video has done pretty well in getting a lot of engagement with a lot of you, so I'm very appreciative of that. Let's talk a little bit about my scope. It's getting a little bigger, but I don't know. I still don't know, because like it feels like I'm slogging through some of this stuff, but I feel like once I get these little pieces in place, I feel like adding units, adding more buttons, and that type of stuff is all going to just come together really quickly. So right now I'm already pushing around 40 hours of development time, which is a little like, I'm a little sad because it's like a game jam length again. I quit my reverse tower defense game at around 35 hours because I didn't feel like I could get it done. This game, I still feel like I haven't made much progress in it, and here I am at 40 hours, but it does feel like the pieces to complete the game are all coming together, and if I can just get those pieces done, the game will start like just moving. And so that's what I'm kind of hoping for. I'm just going to keep plugging along. Like I said before, I'm trying to make a scalable game in a sense. So if I want to just release this and I only get a certain amount of units done, because I have tiers of units. So I have a basic tier, intermediate tier, and advanced tier. And I could just kind of stop anywhere in there. If I would just want to get the game released, I could, stop after, I think at most I have like 9 units on each side, roughly. If I can get all of them, that's great. If I don't, I'll just release the game, because I just want to release something and I want to move forward to the next project. And I could come back and make a sequel to this and add more stuff later. That's sort of where I'm headed with this. I want to stick with the small scope games and just get them out. And, I'll have the code in place for next time if I want to make a sequel or do whatever. I might want to add boss units too. So like a boss level. I kind of want to implement the backdrop you're seeing is sort of the test scene, but it's also probably going to be my first level or background image for the game. I'll spruce it up a bit, put some more decorations in it, but I'll have some more animations or characters cheering in the background and stuff like that. But you'll play on that same level probably for 3 to 5 levels with growing difficulty and parameters and stuff. I don't know. I'm working all that out, but that's sort of the idea. I'd like to have at least 3 of those. So like 3 different backgrounds with like 3 to 5 levels in each. So this game is going to be huge, but with the tactical battling type thing, I think it'll last. It'll give, certain hours of fun. I might even do something like work on difficulty. So the game could be harder if you want to replay it, which is probably just going to be like increasing the enemy unit's health and stuff. Maybe have more spawn. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not to that point yet. But these are things that I can grow into. I'm just setting the foundation. And yeah, that's where I'm at with Fruits versus Veggies. Hopefully I will get a Steam page up for it soon. I'd love to have you all be able to wishlist it if you would like to. And if you have any other questions or ideas for any of these videos, let me know what you think of me standing. I don't know. It's different. I'm trying to be a little bit more animated, a little more exciting. These are longer videos, but I just want to share the journey. Oh, and one other thing. So, I have my mascot Neon at the end of each video telling you to like and subscribe and all that stuff. I don't think I've mentioned this before, and if I did, maybe, but my little gimmick for my company is I want her to be in every single game that I make in some way, some shape, some form. So I'm not doing very much of my own assets for this game, but I'm going to try and make a pixel version of her. That's sort of one of my goals before the end of this project, and have her in the background cheering or something. That's the goal. That's the hope. But in all my future games, I want her to feature sort of like an Easter egg. I might even have her star in some games. We'll see. But that's a little Easter egg. But anyways, until next time, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.
Thanks for checking out Neon Dream Games channel. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you can stay up to date on all the latest videos we have to offer. Don't forget to leave a comment to suggest what kind of videos you'd like to see more of in the future. See you in the next video.